really hard Vanguard question, please call Rihanna. Uh, she knows everything. So excellent. We'll start by talking about the first wine that everybody's drinking. That everybody's drinking a Cremant de Burgundy. And so, any idea why that wine cannot be called a champagne, even though it's like a champagne? Yes.
Because it's not from Champagne.
Yes. You get a gold star. Yes.
I've been to 12 of these.
Yes. Yes, I know. Finally, the information is starting to stick. Yes. So as I probably eloquently stated, Champagne is a place, and so if the wine is not made in Champagne, it cannot be called Champagne. And so oftentimes the price reflects that. Champagnes from France get to be fairly expensive, and oftentimes at this type of event, I serve a cava, and a cava is the Spain equivalent to Champagne. But in this particular, for this particular evening, I chose a Cremant. And so the Cremant de Burgundy is actually not from Champagne, but from the Burgundy region. And Champagne and Burgundy happen to be touching each other, basically. They're right adjacent to each other. So if you're driving down from Paris, you go head south, you would go through Champagne, and then you could end up in Burgundy. And what's interesting about Champagne and Burgundy is that they both grow the same grapes. So conversely, I think that the wines are very similar. Obviously, one's sparkling, one is not. Anybody remember what the two grape varietals are that we use to make champagne?
I'm going to say Chardonnay
Yes.
and Pinot Noir.
Yes. All right. All right. Okay. If I was giving out prices, yes. But yes, that warms my heart. Okay. Yes, because oftentimes people drink champagne but don't even know that they're actually drinking a blend of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And you've probably seen in the bottle that says Blanc de Blanc. Have you ever seen that on a champagne bottle? That means that champagne is only made from white grapes, mostly Chardonnay. And if you see a Blanc de Noir, then that means that bottle is made only from red grapes or Pinot Noir. And then typically, if you're drinking a rosé, it's a blend, but they allow some of the wine to come in contact with the skin of the Pinot Noir, and that's where the rosé color comes from. It comes from the skin, and not from the inside of the grape. That's what throws people off a little bit. It's like, how can you make white wine out of a red grape? But the juice itself is white. It's just the skin that imparts the color. So they don't let it come in contact with the skin, and therefore you get a white juice or white wine. All right? Everybody like that Cremant? Do you like it? Yeah, yeah. It's a very affordable bottle. They tend to range in the $12 to $15 range. So if you have friends like Rihanna who drink a lot, just kidding, just kidding. Excellent. So today we have two lookbooks, and I'm going to try to be fairly concise because obviously there's two of them and there's a lot of material here. But I did want to start by talking a little bit about the outdoor lookbook because Vanguard has now gotten into the outdoor category pretty significantly. We introduced our first outdoor collection about 2 years ago, and it was designed by Michael Weiss. And we were pleasantly surprised as to how much of this product we sold. And I think that the allure of it for our client base is that it's a little bit of a continuation of the indoor aesthetic. And if you're already familiar and comfortable buying indoor Vanguard, then the outdoor category seemed like a natural category. So based on the success of that introduction, we introduced 6 distinct collections at the July market, and we are just now finally in a stocking position. We sold a good bit of this product, and we were chasing it pretty hard, but we're now in a very comfortable position. And Calvin, if you guys want to pour the next wine, that's great, or brandy. And so, interestingly enough, well, I'll just start in talking about the first collection, and then we'll get into some of the nitty details. But the first collection in this lookbook is called Horizon, and Horizon is special because it's made from real teak. This is the only collection that I feel like requires a little bit of maintenance as it relates to the Vanguard outdoor product. And as you know, real teak, if you wanted to maintain this beautiful color, needs to be treated or oiled ever so often. And I think people that like teak or enjoy teak know that. But it is a really beautiful teak. We use only grade A teak. And then we also cure the teak in the basically in a sun yard. So we get all the wood and we let it sit in the sun for a few days and sun cure it, and that helps minimize some of the seepage of the oils that happen early in the life of the product, but it's still going to require a little bit of maintenance. Some of the things that make the Vanguard product special, you'll notice if you look at this picture here, you'll notice how that back cushion is kind of in a trapezoid shape, and that is because we're really good at upholsters, we're really good at making indoor product, and so we want the comfort of our outdoor product to be excellent, and so that gives you a lot of lumbar support. Oftentimes the back cushions in an outdoor sofa are really thin and flimsy, and so you'll notice that our cushions are really pretty significant. I'm going to talk about it in just a second too. It's the Riesling. The other thing to point out about our cushions is that's unique to Vanguard is that we use indoor foam for our cushions. Most cushions for outdoor are reticulated foam, meaning the foam that is a draining foam, so that water drains through the cushion. And we started with a reticulated foam cushion. We actually started with a reticulated foam cushion that had coil springs on the inside for durability, but we did not like the way the foam performed. So we opted to extrude our own foam. We have our own extruding company. We extrude our own foam in Hickory, North Carolina. And so we're using the same foam that we put on our indoor cushions, but we are covering these cushions with a hydrophobic material. That is a fancy word for a material that repels water, basically. And then we sonic seal that material so that we get a really great seal. It doesn't penetrate, the water never penetrates the cushion. So the cushion basically repels all the water. So that is really beneficial for two reasons. Number one, it will prolong the life of the cushion. The cushion is going to be a lot more sustained. And then also it's a quick dry cushion. I mean, you probably all have sat on a cushion that got wet like 2 days ago and your pants got all wet. That will not happen with these cushions because that they're hydrophobic, which is a really nice advantage. What's really great about this particular material is that even though it repels all of the water, it still allows a good amount of air transfer. It's got good porosity. So when you sit in the cushion feels soft because the air dissipates. And then when you get up from the cushion, the air comes back and the cushion retains its shape, but it doesn't allow for the water to penetrate. So it's an excellent advantage. I don't know of anybody else that uses that cushion. So it's just a nice feather in Vanguard's cap. And interestingly enough, I don't know, about 2 months ago, I got in the mail a Restoration Hardware outdoor catalog. I don't know if many of you received that. And so I was looking at their catalog and I noticed there was a lot of similarities in their product to our product. I will say that we introduced our product a year ago, so it wasn't that we were looking at what they were doing. But I think it's interesting to note that there is a lot of similarities, but I will point out some differences because I know oftentimes we think, we as a company, Vanguard, think about our competitors as being some of the other manufacturers that are around us, you know, like the Hickory chairs or the Centuries of the world, because they're all in Hickory and we see them often, and we're friendly competitors. But the reality is that some of our biggest competitors are some of these integrated retailers like Ethan Allen or Restoration Hardware or Our House. And in essence, they're kind of your competitors as well. And they're probably inspirational points for your customers. When you're talking to your customers and trying to qualify what their aesthetic is, you probably hear Restoration Hardware as a buzzword or something that they relate to. So Vanguard is kind of conscious of that, and so we try to design product that's going to compete well against those brands. And so I think that our outdoor offering really competes very well against some of the stuff that Restoration Hardware is doing on the outdoor. I mean, we talked about the cushions and all the differences in the makings of our cushion. That is a significant difference between what they offer. If you study their teak product versus our teak product is similar, but we have these beautiful slat details on the outback of our chairs and our sofas and sectionals, which they do not have. And then the other big advantage, I think, to our product is that it doesn't sit low like their product. Their product sits like 15 inches. You feel like you're sitting on the floor. You have to have really good knees to be able to get up from the sofa. So we actually have conventional seat heights. We're like 18 and a half, 19 inches, so people can actually sit on the sofa and get up from the sofa. So these are big advantages that we offer versus some of our competition. Yep.
We have like a mold issue a lot with our outdoor stuff, and it's when it's not exposed to the sun. So when the cushions are exposed to the sun, they tend to not mold. When they're under cover, they mold. So that with this water retention or water propelling, so does it go through
The fabric?
but not to the foam? Is that what
That's
you're saying?
correct.
Does it get trapped between or no?
It does not. It tends to be a quick dry sofa, so that's going to actually help with the mold issue. But the reality of it is that the mold actually grows on dirt or pollen. It doesn't actually grow on the fabric. So the key to diminishing mold issues on outdoor furniture is to clean it. They just have to clean it. And, oftentimes, we have a pretty nice assortment of outdoor fabrics. Most of our value pack fabrics are 100% acrylic solution dyed fabrics, meaning that they're bleachable, they're sun fade resistant. Most of Sunbrella is 100% acrylic solution dyed fabrics. We use... Well, so what I do is I get a spray bottle, basically, and then I mix a mixture of bleach and water. So you only need a little bit of bleach in there, but all these fabrics are, if it's 100% solution acrylic dyed fabric, it will sustain bleach. Most of our outdoor fabrics can handle bleach. And so then you would just spray the bleach on it, and then you can wash it with a hose.
Come to their house.
I mean, it depends. If they have wine, I could be, I know, yes. I could be bribed. But that's an excellent way to get rid of the mold. The mold really is actually growing in the pollen or the dirt on the cushion. So the idea is to keep the cushions clean. If you spray them with bleach every 6 months or so, you will not have that problem. And again, just make sure that the fabric that you are selecting ideally has a lot of solution dyed acrylic. It doesn't have to be 100%. If it's going to get a lot of sun exposure, if it's not going to be under cover, I would recommend it to be 100% acrylic solution dyed. But if it's going to be under cover, you can get away with something that's got some polyester, some cotton in it as well. And we do have some outdoor fabrics that have polyester and cotton. Most of our fabrics, I think all of our outdoor fabrics are bleachable, but we do provide all the cleaning solutions. So before I go on to a couple of the next collections in this book, I did want to talk about the wine that you just got poured. So we typically do a combination of white and red wines, but Emilio would not let me do red wines this time. And I only say that because he finally arrived and he's here and he's smiling. He said that. He said he knew that Jimmy was going to be here, and he was afraid of the spilling of the red wine. So we're only going to be drinking white wines, but I chose some really interesting white wines, so don't despair. So the first wine that we're drinking actually is a German Riesling. Most of the wines that we're drinking tonight are going to be old world wines or from Europe. And this is a dry Riesling, so even though it's got a lot of fruit on the nose, you might be able to smell. It smells sweeter than it tastes. So when you smell it, you get some floral. Like Riesling typically has sort of that honeysuckle or that waxy kind of notes. But this is a really off dry wine, so it's going to be fairly dry. You still get a little bit of residual sugar. You still get a little bit of acidity. Is this mine? Oh, I didn't get any. I know. How sad. I just wanted just a little tiny bit. Will you pour me a little bit?
Here, just take this.
And this is Brandy. Brandy is the Vanguard ambassador here at IDS. Yes. We would not be able to function well without Brandy. Yeah. I know. Everybody says, oh, you do such a good job. I was like, it's not me. It's Brandy and Rihanna. I mean, everybody knows that. So this is so I've been talking about Horizon, and then if you flip a few more pages, you'll see a new collection. It's called Bliss, and Bliss is really a cool collection because it is actually a synthetic woven material. And it's really pretty. We did a really nice job with the finish of the woven material. Notice it's got some highs and lows on it. But what's really cool about this product is that there's actually a powder coated aluminum frame underneath this. So the actual structure or the construction of these frames is all powder coated aluminum, and then we just clad them with this synthetic woven material. So they're very resilient, they're very sturdy. If you sell this product, you're not going to have any real issues with it. You know, oftentimes these woven chairs are very flimsy or they give out after a couple of years. This stuff is going to be ironclad. I feel really good about the longevity of this product. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go to the next couple pages, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Breeze. Breeze is our powder-coated aluminum collection. It is beautiful, and we're using a really good powder-coated aluminum technique. If you study these pictures, you'll notice that the metal is all chamfered. So it's not just a regular tube. You know, sometimes like some of our competitors like Castell or even Restoration Hardware's product, it's all just one tube, metal tube. Ours is really well done. It's all chamfered, so you get a lot of aesthetic and design elements. And then we also use precision welding, which is, it's more expensive, but precision welding accounts for all of the weld lines. So oftentimes when you look at our product, you're not going to be able to even tell where we joint the two pieces together. It's all one continuous, basically, piece of metal. And that's really important because oftentimes where you get some of the problems is doing the weld joints. That's typically where you'll get some of the flaking or some of the rusting. So by doing precision welding, you're not going to have a lot of those issues. And then also notice that we have this beautiful synthetic woven material that we're using. So aesthetically, it's really pretty because if you're floating these chairs or these sectionals out in your open patio, you get credit for all that woven material. And again, it's synthetic woven material, so you're not going to have any maintenance or any issues with this product. This stuff is going to last for a long time. And you're going to sell it to your customers, and they're going to tell you how great it is, and then you're going to think fondly of me and Rihanna and Brandy. And it does utilize the same cushion technology that we talked about. So all of the cushions in here are hydrophobic cushions. You have a beautiful dining table. You have bar stools. You have counter stools. You have a bistro top table. So it's a fairly comprehensive collection. So I'm going to go to the next collection. And this collection is called Drift. And Drift is a great collection. If you, again, looked at that Restoration Hardware catalog, their version of Drift was on the cover of their catalog. But their version of Drift is real teak. Our version or our collection is made with synthetic teak. And so this stuff is ironclad. It is dyed completely through. Oftentimes, some of our competitors that use a synthetic teak will finish it over with an actual painted finish. And the problem with that is that over time, those finishes flake and peel, and then you get a different color underneath that finish, which looks terrible. And obviously, as it starts peeling, customers get upset about that. This product is all completely dyed through, so even if it was scratched or anything like that, you wouldn't be able to see a difference in color, and you would be able to literally sand some of the blemishes off. And we do include a little scrub pad when you buy this product. We also wire brush this material so it really feels like wood. Oftentimes in our showroom, we mix it in with some of our teak, and customers cannot tell the difference between what's real teak and what is this synthetic material. So it's really nice. This is the color, yep. So it's true to that color. I actually have some of this product in our house here in Florida and also in our house in North Carolina. My wife used to rep a line that used this same resource. This is how we ended up with this resource because that company sold to venture capitalists, eventually went out of business. And so Georgiana put us in touch with this resource that makes all of this product. And so I've probably had my dining table in our pool area for 7 years, and it's under full sun, full rain. So it has no cover, nothing. It just sits out there in the elements. I do nothing to it. I mean, I just look at it or sit on it, basically. So that just tells you that this product is really durable. And in North Carolina, we have some of it as well, and it just sits, it gets rain and snow and pollen and everything like that. I once in a while have to pressure wash it just to get the dirt off of it, but the material is really ironclad. I think Emilio actually has some of this product in his backyard, except that he put a black cover over it and the sun baked it. And so that you can't do. Am I right? Am I telling too much?
Don't buy your covers on Amazon.
Right. Now, the synthetic Danish cord that you see there is a synthetic. So it's going to be very resilient again. So it looks just like a cord. And we actually even add some of that, like a little bit of the hairs coming off of the polypropylene to make it look like a real Danish cord, but it is synthetic. So again, it's going to be super durable. So I'm going to keep going here. And I'm going to go to, again, the Bliss collection. The Bliss collection was a collection we talked about that had that woven material that was cladded over the powder-coated aluminum. What I do want to call out is that blanket that we put on the sofas. That's kind of a rare thing. I haven't seen that from any other manufacturer. And you can see it's this beautiful blanket that covers the the in arm and the in back of the sofa. And so that's really nice because if you're sitting on the sofa in your bathing suit, all that woven material is not going to bother you. And if for some reason you get that blanket dirty, so you get like sunscreen or something on it, you can remove it and wash it and put it back onto the sofa. It's attached to the sofa using these toggles. So it's a really nice feature. And then the other point that I want to drive across about our outdoor product is that even though these are all distinct collections in the sense that they all have different materials. We have real teak, we have synthetic teak, we have powder-coated aluminum, we have this woven material. All these collections blend in really well together. At the Atlanta market, we actually did not display them in collections. We kind of displayed them all together, mixed together. And so that's the beautiful thing about the Vanguard Outdoor program is that it gives you an opportunity to curate something special for your customer. Oftentimes, outdoor collections are all very suited, because you feel like it's hard to find things that work well together. So you tend to buy all from one resource and it all looks the same. And so here's an opportunity to have the same aesthetic, the same sort of color family, but you can mix in a lot of different materials and create something really special for your customer. So it's a really nice product. And then I'm going to just high spot a couple more things in here. We have this nested collection here. This is kind of off of our indoor nest program. And so the idea here is you have all these tops and you have all these different bases. And we sell the tops and the bases separately. And what makes this particular collection kind of cool is that the tops move. So you can pick them up and you can move them around. And so if the sun direction changes, or if you're hosting a party and you want it to be more suitable to seat more people, you can arrange it in a way where it sits more people. Now, this particular product does have a reticulated foam. So this is the only product that we do not put the hydrophobic material on it. So the water is going to drain through it. And so because of that reason, we do sell this product with a cover. So if you order this product, you're automatically going to get a cover with it. Okay? But it's nice. We tried the hydrophobic material on this product. We just did not like the way it sat because this is all tight seats. And so we really needed the reticulated foam here. So the water is going to drain through. But there are some really nice pieces in here as well. You have like these really unique pieces where you can actually incorporate the umbrella onto the piece itself. So we made a cavity under the ottoman that houses the umbrella stand. And so you can put the umbrella stand underneath the ottoman and then just put the umbrella pole through the piece. So we have one that's got sort of a 3-seat. And then we have a second one that has a 2-seat. And so obviously you can use it without the umbrella. And if you use it without the umbrella, you can kind of move the cushions around a little bit.
Hey, Harry.
Uh-huh.
Is there anything that keeps these cushions in place?
Mm-hmm. So that was an excellent question. So Raquel asked, be it that those tops move, like what keeps them in place. Like if you set it down and you push back on it, you're gonna fly off? And the answer is no. That these actually are really well ballasted. We weigh them down. We're actually making the tops. All the bottom frames are made with powder coated aluminum. The tops we make with marine grade plywood, so they're fairly heavy on the bottom. And then we also put a tacking material underneath it that creates friction between the piece and the fabric. So when you pick them up and you move them, you can sit on and you can push pretty hard. And I've tested it. I've pushed as hard as I can, and that back will not move. So they're movable, but they basically stay in place when you sit in it. And then the Cedar Grove is the last collection. The Cedar Grove is a powder coated aluminum and a synthetic black rope collection. We do a sectional, we do a sofa, we do a swivel chair. It's got that hydrophobic cushion as well. If you study these pictures, you'll notice, look at the thickness of the seat cushion. They're really nice cushions. And again, you get a lot of credit for all that detail on the outback. And then last but not least, you have the double chase lounger, which is really nice. Here you can do tete-a-tete or you can do side-by-side. In my house, I wouldn't be allowed to do tete-a-tete because whoever's sitting across from me, like, you have to sit somewhere else. I don't think I can look at you any longer. So both of the loungers basically incline on both sides. You would just move the cushion. But these kind of pieces are really cool because what happens is your customers will go and stay at some fancy hotel somewhere and they want to replicate the hotel experience in their backyard. So we have a lot of pieces that kind of do that. Like that nested piece is one of those pieces, the double lounger. We also have a really pretty outdoor bar that you can install. So we have a lot of great pieces. I'm just kind of high spotting all this. I know there was a lot to cover there, but please don't forget about us as an outdoor resource. And we do have some of this product in the outdoor area in Marketplace. But Brandy knows the outdoor product inside and out, and she can certainly help you navigate all of the collections, all of our stocking positions, pricing, anything you need. She's really good at it. And she's also going to be at Market. She's going to be at the Vanguard showroom at Market. So if you're coming to Market, please make an appointment with Brandy. She's going to be there to help us treat you as the VIP customer that you are. Are we pouring the second wine? We're ready? Yep. Let's do it.
So we did the sectional with the crisscross, the last one, and customer loves it. Perfect, very comfortable.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the testimonial. You're really on fire today. Extra wine here.
I sat in the thing with the modular. It doesn't move.
She was a plant.
Do you? Yes. I have a bunch of appointments next week. You want to travel with me?
Yeah, I have time.
Yeah. Oh, there's extra glasses here if you need some extra ones. There's always one in the group. All right. So last night I started talking about this wine and I had the wines confused, but I figured it out tonight. So we did this event in the Sarasota Vanguard showroom last night in IDS. But the crowd wasn't as fun as you guys. And nobody knew the two grapes in Champagne either. So so we have that going for us. Yeah. Yeah.
Was Tracy there?
Tracy was there. Yes, she came. Richard was not. Richard was not.
That's why
I know. But Tracy came and she did tell me to tell you ladies hello. She said, tell the Naples posse. I said hello. Oh, thank you. So this particular wine is called Soave. And so how many people think Soave is a place? Oh, I will preface this by saying that it comes from Italy. So how many people think, is it Soave a place or a grape or both? So how many people think it's a place?
State of mind.
How many people think it's a grape?
I'll go great.
Okay. And how many people think it's both?
Oh, yeah, I'll go that.
Okay. So the answer is a place. Okay? Yes. So just remember that for most of the most all wines from Europe are named after a place. Like there are very few exceptions. There's like I can't tell, like Gavi is an exception because Gavi is a grape in a place. So in that particular case, it's Gavi de Gavi. That's an Italian wine as well. This is an Italian wine. So Soave is a place. So like Chianti is a place. Champagne is a place. Burgundy is a place. So when you're drinking a Burgundy, you're either drinking Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, because remember Burgundy is right really close to Champagne. So the two grapes that they're growing there are Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. You're drinking a red Burgundy. You're drinking Pinot Noir. You're drinking a white Burgundy. You're drinking Chardonnay. Soave's got his own indigenous grape in Italian. You don't need to know what the grape is. You'll never remember. It's hard to pronounce. But Soave's are really nice because they're kind of a lighter wine. And so they're kind of very fruit forward. If you visit the north part of Italy, like if you go to Venice or Lake Como, for example, this is their wine of choice for white wine. You will drink a lot of Soave while you're there, and a lot of Negronis, or both, or at the same time. I don't know. Just depends on how good of a time you're having. But Suave is it's a little. What I like about Suave is that it's still a dry wine, but it does have some fruitiness to it. It's not sweet, but it's got some floral notes to it. It's got some maybe some tropical notes. Maybe you taste a little peach or something like that when you drink it. It doesn't have a really pronounced acidity. The next couple wines that we're going to drink are going to be more acidic because they come from colder climate or higher altitude. Typically, when you grow a wine at higher altitude, you get acidity. This wine is grown at more of a normal altitude. So you still have some acidity, you have that complexity, but then you have some of those ripe flavors as well. Okay? So thus far, how many people preferred how many people like the Riesling the best? How many people like the Soave the best? Okay? So the Soave's winning thus far. Okay? We'll keep tabs on that. All right, so now we're going to get into the meat of the newest lookbook. And so the lookbook, as you know, is a retrospective of the previous market. So this lookbook is basically showcasing all the great things that Vanguard introduced at the the October market. And so I'll start with the cover. The cover is basically showcasing our new Make It Yours face. If you're not familiar with our Make It Yours program, it's a program where you can choose the face, you can choose the base, you can choose the hardware, you can choose the finish. So it's a very semi-custom type of program. It's actually more than semi-custom because you're making most of the choices. The only thing you're not choosing is the size of you're actually choosing the size of the case. We have a lot of different sizes. You just can't customize the actual size. Like you can say, I'd like for this to be 2 inches wider or 2 inches taller. You have to stick with one of the sizes that we offer. But if you go into the lookbook, you can see we're showcasing the same face there, but in a different finish, and it takes on a whole different look. Where in the cover it was in a white finish, and here we're more in a light brown finish. It just kind of changes the aesthetic of it. We changed the base and also the hardware. I also want to point out the Virtuoso chair. This actually, we offer it in 3 different ways. The first way that you see here is an actual rocker chair, and that's kind of rare for high-end manufacturers. So it's kind of nice to have a little rocking chair in your living room. Oftentimes, if it swivels or rocks, people love it. So we thought it was a pretty cool introduction, and I really love the fabric that we chose on the seat cushion. It looks really, really sharp. And then if you flip the page, you can see there that now we're showcasing the chair as a occasional chair and not a rocking chair. So if you don't like the fact that the chair rocked, you can also order it as just a standalone occasional chair. Also take note of some of the case pieces here. These case pieces are called Verge. It's the Verge collection. And here's where we actually utilized a bleached mahogany. And so mahogany as you know, typically has a reddish color, mahogany, and that's where the mahogany color comes from. And so that's very difficult for us as manufacturers because that red tint in the wood really affects how the finish looks when we finish the product. And that's why in the olden days, most mahogany product was in a mahogany finish, which meant that it was more brown and reddish because they were actually applying a red stain to the red wood, and it was creating that sort of combination of red and brown together. And that's where that color mahogany basically came about. So in order to compensate or to resolve that issue, what we do is we bleach the mahogany. And very few manufacturers actually bleach the mahogany. And when we bleach the mahogany, it allows us to execute much lighter colors without them pinking out or changing reddish colors. You know, like the browns turn orange and the whites turn gray. So we have this beautiful color. This color that you see there is called almond. And I'm going to pass this around a little bit. Well, so here's the beautiful thing, Diana. We can actually use any one of our stains on the mahogany because we bleached it. So now it's kind of a neutral canvas, and we can do a lot of our finishes. We do have some favorites. So like this color right here is called almond, and this is the color that we're going to be stocking on these crazy mahogany pieces. So I'll pass these around for you to see. But you'll see there's a lot of different finishes, but yet you're not limited to this finish. But this finish is really pretty. And these lighter finishes really make the mahogany feel a little bit more coastal, feel a little bit more Florida. Oftentimes you think of mahogany as a traditional wood. And so this kind of lends itself to the fact that I told you early in this presentation, the Vanguard feels like the pendulum is swinging a little bit more traditional. And we're never going to be a real traditional resource, but we're definitely going to go incorporating some traditional elements to what we do. And so a good way for us to do it is to introduce mahogany. And so, but we bleach it so that you can do some of these lighter colors and really accentuate what you're doing. And you can see here in the next few pages, we actually did this piece in the saddle finish. Now, what you're seeing here is a combination of both crotch mahogany and center cut mahogany. And I'll explain what the difference is. Center cut mahogany comes from the trunk of the tree. And so that's typically what most mahogany furniture is made out of. It still has a beautiful veneer pattern, and so it still looks like wood. Now, the crotch mahogany comes from where the branch branches out from the trunk, where the branch and the trunk form a crotch, in essence. That's where all that fiery veneer mahogany comes from. So the slang term crotch came from the tree, and then somehow it got adapted to the area here. And it's really fun. We have a very iconic customer from Miami that always tells all these dirty jokes when he comes to market. And obviously I have a team of all young ladies, so it's always somewhat problematic for me. So we were all nervous about pitching the crotch mahogany to him because we knew he was going to say something inappropriate, and he did. He said a lot of things. It was really fun. But it was really funny. As soon as Megan, Rihanna's counterpart, brought up that it was crotch mahogany, it was almost like someone scratched the record. He was like, "Did you say crotch mahogany?" So
We said that we bleached the crotch. And you could also have the crotch in any color in your life.
yeah. So it blew his mind. Yeah. Yeah.
If you could believe it was red.
Yeah. And we did come up with these jokes on the fly. So yes, good times at Vanguard Furniture. So I'm going to skip forward. So now I'm to this page right here, the Entwine series. This is a really cool new series. We have gotten really good at raffia. So we have a lot of raffia in the line. We have a bedroom collection called Reveal that uses raffia on the faces of all the cases. And now we've added raffia as an option in the Make It Yours product. So you can put raffia faces on any of the Make It Yours products, whether it's the lifestyle cabinet or the home office or bedroom. And we offer many colors of raffia. We have about 14 different toners that we can use. The toners are important because we can paint raffia. We're really good at painting. We can paint any of our furniture in any color in the world. So you can specify Sherwin-Williams or Pratt and Lumber or Benjamin Moore, whoever you want. We can use any paint company in any color. We have a really sophisticated machine at Vanguard that has all the formulations for all the major paint manufacturers in the world. And so we can basically replicate any color. But what's important about the finishes that we develop for the raffia is that they're actually toners, they're not paints. And the nice thing about the toners is that they create a high and low. And so you can see here on this raffia, you can see that it's got a little bit of high and low, where you get to see a little bit more. You get a lot of more credit for the texture in the raffia. So that's kind of important. In this collection, we do put a piece of glass over the raffia because we presume that you're going to have drinks or things like that on the cocktail table. So we do put a piece of glass. Oh, thank you, Rihanna. I didn't realize that the raffia finishes were right behind me. So. And there's 3 sizes of these cocktail tables. You have 2 bunching cocktail tables that can be used individually or together. And then you also have a really pretty end table. The end table can also stack or nest with the cocktail table. So if you're having a party or entertaining and you want to use that area to serve your hors d'oeuvres and drinks like that, you actually have 3 different height platforms. So it's really, really nice. And that really resonates with customers. I know that's kind of intuitive that the customer should know that, but when you point these things out to your customer, it really resonates with them. You can say, well, listen, you can have these nested cocktail tables, you have the end table, you can bring the end table, and now you have this 3-tier area in your living room where you could do hors d'oeuvres and desserts and drinks. It's really kind of a nice thing to do. Also take a look at the Blakely series sofa. This again is a good example of where we're going a little bit more traditional. We call it new traditional. This sofa actually was designed by John Black, who is a very famous designer. John Black designed Milling Road for Baker, and he designed acquisitions for Henredon, and he also designed a collection for Vanguard called Compendium. He was one of our most successful designers. Unfortunately, John passed away a couple years ago, which was very sad. But his legacy still lives on at our company with a lot of his designs. And our current merchant or designer, his name is Seth, loved John and studied under John and really has an appreciation for John's designs. So we are actually continuing Compendium. And so we're developing a lot of new Compendium pieces. And we still pay a Compendium royalty to John's estate because we feel it's a continuation of his designs and his legacy. And this next piece, is a really good example of that. This is really reminiscent of Milling Road, if you were to look at it. It has sort of that aesthetic. It's got some of those signature John Black details on the piece. This piece was really well received in the market. And then we have a lot of cool new Compendium pieces that are going to be introduced at this market. The chair here that you see was our best-selling upholstery item at the new market. This chair is called the Georgiana chair. It was named after my wife, and I had nothing to do with it. The president of Vanguard, who's one of my oldest buddies, was trying to suck up to Georgiana, and so he named the chair after her, but he misspelled her name. So, I don't know. I don't know if he won or lost on that. But I will say that the chair sits really well and it's sold really well. So it's good. Couple of the Georgiana chair.
There was one with a base like that.
There is. It is not, but it needs to be. So we're going to add it to the display. You know, the very high class problem that we have at IDS with the Vanguard display is that we keep bringing in beautiful things and you guys keep buying them off the floor, which is really a great problem to have. Like normally here there would be this amazing sectional, and I rushed it from the factory. We replaced it, and I rushed it to be here today, but then we realized that this is where all the tables are going to be. So we're going to put it back tomorrow. So come back tomorrow, and it will be here. But yes, we struggle with that because we keep trying to bring in new and fresh things. And again, thank you for all your support, and thank you for buying and inspecting all our product. It's great. It's a really high class problem that we have, that all the good stuff keeps flying out of here, and we're always trying to replace stuff. So we have a good plan in place to keep the showroom looking sharp as ever. So the next collection is called Rendition, and Rendition is a crotch mahogany collection. So again, it kind of leans a little traditional. But when you do this collection in the lighter finishes, it looks a lot more coastal and a lot more sophisticated. We initially introduced this bed as an upholstered bed, but we got such good reaction on it that this past market we decided to do it as an all wood bed. So you see it here as an all wood bed in the mocha finish. And I do have the mocha finish here to pass around. This is the mocha finish. But we also we're stocking it in mocha, but we're also stocking it in latte. So mocha and latte are going to be your fastest delivery, and they're going to be your best price. Obviously, latte might be a better finish for our trading area, although I have a large retailer in Naples that decided to go with the mocha on the floor. That's the mocha. That's the mocha. It just looks a little redder on those pictures of the light, but that's really true to the color. It's more of a brown color. Yeah, it is. That's the mocha. Yeah, it's more. It looks darker and redder on those pictures, but it really is more that neutral brown. Yeah, it does. It does. I know. I thought that too when I saw it. And so the next few pictures in the lookbook are all basically displaying that rendition collection. And we are going to have some of these pieces here in the showroom. So you will see a few pieces of crotch mahogany here in the showroom. Melinda has ordered a couple pieces. So stay tuned. They will be here pretty soon. Okay. I think we're ready to pour the third wine. So as the third wine is being poured, I will talk about this Attitude sofa. This Attitude sofa is pretty cool. It's a sofa that incorporates raffia. So we did raffia on the outback and on the out arms. If you don't like the raffia, you can actually substitute the raffia for fabric. But I think the raffia is what makes it special. So if you flip one page, you can see a much close-up of the raffia on the outback and on the out arm. And then you can also see all the colors of the raffia there that we have. It's a really, really pretty sofa. And then we're also featuring our storage cabinet. Our storage cabinet is a cousin of the lifestyle cabinet. The difference between the storage cabinet and the lifestyle cabinet is that the storage cabinets are all one piece, where the lifestyle cabinets are multiple pieces that we kind of bunch together, and we put one large top and one large base. And that's actually really good if you have if you're trying to furnish a condo or something that's going to ride in an elevator. You probably need those multiple pieces to be able to get it onto the elevator. But if you don't have that issue, if you have a home, well, I think that the storage cabinet is a better option, because the storage cabinet is one large piece, and if you look at it, it's also rounded on the edges, so it's really pretty. And don't forget that the storage cabinet is part of our Make It Yours program, so you can choose any phase, any hardware, any finish, and you also have base choices on that piece. And then if you go one more page, you can see the large version of that storage cabinet, and that is a new face. That is the modern face. It's gorgeous, really, really pretty. And so we do the modern face vertically on a door, and we do it horizontally on a drawer. So if you were to put this on a nightstand or a dresser, that face would be running horizontally instead of vertically. You can see how pretty up close these pictures are. Okay, so so the next wine we're drinking is a very interesting wine. It comes from a region called Touraine, which is in France. How many people here have heard of a Sancerre? Have you ever drank a Sancerre? Probably love Sancerre. Okay, so is Sancerre a place, a grape, or both? How many people think it's a place? How many people think it's a grape? Oh, well, we're making some progress here. And okay, so just remember, all of Old World wine is named after a place. So Sancerre is a place, and the grape that they use in Sancerre is Sauvignon Blanc. So if you're drinking the Sancerre, you're drinking Sauvignon Blanc. And the European are finicky and funny like that. They're like, you're supposed to know what the place serves. Like in America, you have to put the name of the grape on the bottle for people to know, you know? People's like, I'm drinking a Cab or Merlot. So in Europe, they'll just put the name of the place, Sancerre, and you're supposed to know that that's Sauvignon Blanc. Like Chianti, for example. Chianti is a place, and the grape that you're drinking in Chianti is Sangiovese. So if you're drinking a Chianti, you're drinking Sangiovese, Chianti being a place, but everybody just knows Chianti as the type of wine, in essence, okay? So long story short, too late. Sancerre is a delicious place for Sauvignon Blanc. Obviously, you guys have all drank it, and you all like it. What makes Sancerre special is the soil composition. They have a lot of chalk in the soil. The Sancerre region kind of sits up high. And so, say 100,000 years ago, all that region was covered in water. And so as the ocean receded, it deposited all the shells from the crustaceans and all that stuff mixed in with the soil. And over time, all that kind of breaks down and then it gets mixed into the soil. And that's what imparts all this minerality to the wine. And so that's why the Sancerre Sauvignon Blanc is different than, say, a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. You probably had like Kim Crawford is a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. And when you drink that Kim Crawford or that New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, they tend to be a little bit more tropical. Like when you smell them, you get more grapefruit, you get more lime, you get more lemon. When you drink a Sauvignon Blanc from France or Sancerre specifically, you get more minerality. So you get a lot of like that flint and wet stone and the things that make that wine really special. But unfortunately, Sancerre has become expensive. Like you try to go to Total Wine and you're like, holy moly, Sancerre's like $30, $40 for a white wine. That's a lot of money. Now, Emilio has no problem paying for that. But actually, Emilio's cheap when it comes to wine. But
Like friends with expensive.
that's the best part. So here's a cheat, everybody. This region, like the Cremant that we drank earlier, happens to be right next door to Sancerre, and they happen to have the same soil composition. And so this bottle you can get for in the $15 to $22, $23 range, and it tastes a lot like Sancerre. So it's a great value.
So this is called what then? It's not called Sancerre?
No, it's not. I'm mispronouncing it, but the name of the town is like Touraine. It's right, yeah, it's right adjacent to Sancerre. And so if it says Touraine on the bottle, then you know it's 100%. It typically is it's got to be at least 85% Sauvignon Blanc. In most cases, it's 100% Sauvignon Blanc. And so on the nose, you get a little bit of that minerality. You get less of the grapefruit. And it's got high acidity because these areas, that's also what makes Sancerre special, is that they have some altitude, so you get really good acidity on it. That's the bottle? Yeah? What we'll do at the very end, we'll lay out all the bottles and we can take pictures of it. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. If you can pass the test at the end, yeah. Yeah. So so this is really enjoyable Sauvignon Blanc. So how many people like the Riesling the best? How many people like the Soave the best? Okay, Soave still holding tight. how many people like the Sauvignon Blanc the best? Okay, so it's neck to neck on the Sauvignon Blanc and Soave. How many people like them all? Nan is like, I like them all. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go quick through some of the other parts of the lookbook because as we drink more wine, the lookbook becomes less interesting. They're like, is he still talking about Vanguard? My God. So the Vega armchair is really a great chair. We have a we at Vanguard we have a blessing and a curse. Okay, and the blessing is that we introduce all these great different veneer species. So we talked about the crotch mahogany and the center cut mahogany. We also do a bleached walnut. We do a bleached tiger maple. We do anagrate. We do wired brush oak. We do wired brush ash. We do maple. So we have all these great different veneer stories. And the reason we do that is because when we introduced the Make It Yours product where you could change the face and the hardware and everything, everybody just order that. And all of a sudden, all of our other collections, we're not doing anything. We're like, well, we've messed up, you know? So like, how do we regain some interest in some of our other collections? And so one of the ways we do that obviously is through shape. We shape them differently, but the main difference is the veneer story. Each of these new collections has a different wood species, a different veneer, a different point of view. So that's the blessing. The curse is that you expect Vanguard to be able to custom finish all of these woods in all of our finishes and have them all look the same. You know, they're like, well, I ordered it in maple. I ordered it in almond finish, but you know, this piece is walnut and this piece might be oak, and obviously the wood takes the finish a little bit differently. So there's going to be some variation in the wood. And so that's why if you look at the Vanguard finishes, we actually have them double-sided. We have one side that's open grain and one side that's closed grain. And so that kind of helps you determine, so if you're doing ash or oak, you're going to be more on the open grain wood species. If you're doing maple or walnut, you're going to be more on the closed grain wood species. And that's important because obviously our finishes are multi-step finishes. We have a lot of glazing and cerusing, and so the more grain you have, the more hang up you have on some of these glazing and cerusing, so the more pronounced some of those tones are. So it's important to note the wood species and also the color and also the right side of the finished chip when you're speccing our product. And one of the things that we're going to be doing moving forward is we're going to take photographs, high resolution images of all of our finishes in all of the different wood species that we offer. So you're going to be able to go on the webpage and you're going to be able to see what it looks like on burl, what it looks like on mahogany, what it looks like on walnut, what it looks like on ash. And I think that's going to be a really nice point of reference for you that you can compare to the finished chip to be able to educate your customer as to how the product's going to look when they receive it. We normally don't have an issue, but I always like talking about it with professionals like yourselves. But what led me to that conversation is that this particular table is made out of bleached walnut, American walnut, and so we have a hard time marrying the finishes for the table to the dining chair. The dining chairs are often made out of maple or made out of ash, and so the finish doesn't quite look the same. And so if you're speccing the same finish on the chair that you are on the table, there's sometimes some variation. And if you have that special customer from New Jersey, it might be a problem. And everybody knows that special customer from New Jersey. And oftentimes I do get a person from New Jersey that goes, I'm from New Jersey. And I said, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is a cheat for Vanguard. So we introduced this fully upholstered chair that has no finish, so that you can put it with the table and not have a problem, which is great. And it's a beautiful chair. We call it the Vega chair because it's got that little V detail, that V cutout on the outback. It's a beautiful chair. And then we also put casters on it, so it's easy to move around. So it's a great chair. I'd expect everybody here to sell it.
Saying it's with or without caster? Oh, no, it's.
It comes standard with casters.
You can take it, you can spec it without.
Nope.
Oh, because it doesn't look like this.
Yeah, they're hidden. They're ball bearings basically that we.
Will we get one here?
We should. Yeah, we'll do it. Rihanna, will you make some notes of everything that Diana Hall wants so we can? No, I mean really, I'm giving you a hard time, but we do need that here. Yeah, no, they're really nice. They're really nice. Yeah, no, it's basically a half ball bearing that we put because we don't want that ugly caster to show on the chair, so we kind of put a recessed ball and it makes it really easy to slide the chair in and out. Yeah. It does pretty well. It's like a ball, so it's not going to scratch or ruin the floor. Yeah. It could dent if it's a softwood floor, yes. But a softwood floor is going to be dented with anything. It's going to be dented with a leg on a chair. So it's basically the same. It's no different than the leg, than the tip of the leg, honestly. So if you're worried about a softwood floor in a dining area, then I would put an area rug underneath it, and that will solve the problem. And even if you have a rug, the casters are going to work really well. So we often show the dining tables at market with a rug, and so the caster is essential for this chair. The next couple pictures here are devoted to a sectional sofa called Amore, and the reason we called it Amore, and for the record, I don't name anything at Vanguard. I did not name the Georgiana chair either, or misspell the name. But the Amore chair is named, or the sofa is named that way because if you study the arms, they're kind of like these rounded arms that look like they're hugging you a little bit. So it's kind of like love, And again, I kind of insinuated that we study what our competition is doing. We certainly do. And we think a lot about these things at the Vanguard. And I'm fortunate enough to sit through some of our long-range planning sessions. And we talk about our competitors and who our competitors are. But we also talk about trends, and we talk about who our customers are. And we talk about what our company might look like 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 25 years from now. And think about that. That's a really daunting exercise. Think about what furniture selling is going to look like from 25 years. So most likely, I'm going to be doing this present. There will be a virtual me here, and it's going to be really good looking. And I'll probably be in my boxers at home talking. It's going to be great. But no, there's technology is going to play a real big part into how and we spend a lot of money on technology. And if you've been on the Vanguard portal recently, we've done a tremendous amount of enhancements to that portal. We're doing 3-dimensional draping on most of our products, so you can 3-dimensional drape now, and you can actually not only can you download that asset 2-dimensionally. So if you're using like PowerPoint or something like that, you can drop in that asset. But if you're starting to do 3-dimensional room planning, which is kind of like the next wave, then most of our 3-dimensional assets can be downloaded as a 3-dimensional asset as well and be dropped into the room planner. We're working on adding a room planner, sort of a rudimentary room planner to our webpage, because we find that the younger customer, that millennial customer, likes to be at home and experimenting and messing, and they do a lot of research on their own ahead of time because they're very computer savvy. So we want to have a lot of technology so that if you're recommending Vanguard to your customer, they're going to feel comfortable going to our webpage and seeing all the bells and whistles and see that it is a really legit and progressive company, and it's going to make it easier for you to sell and spec the product. So that was a long-winded story for me to say that we kind of study what like restoration in our house is doing, and this is our house's best-selling style. And we're not copying it, but we're being inspired by some of the things that they're doing. We look at what they're doing. Obviously, they sell a lot of furniture, so it's important for us to know what they're doing. But it's important for you because, your customer might go in there and like some of the stuff there, but you don't want to sell them that junk. So you want to have something that looks good, that looks similar to what they're offering, but is better quality, better made. And so it affords you an opportunity to spec something that's on trend with what's working in the marketplace. That being said, the next bed is an amazing bed. It's called the Weaver bed, and we call it Dream Weaver for the lookbook. But this is an amazing bed. We make this at Vanguard. We were inspired by a handbag that we saw at the Milan showroom. You've probably seen this. I don't know the brand, but it's a very famous luxury ladies apparel brand. And so it was a beautiful handbag that had this woven detail on it. So we decided to incorporate that into the headboard. And if you look at the close-up pictures, you can pick any one of our fabrics, any one of our leathers or our vinyls, and we'll do this sort of contrasting treatment on it. And this requires a lot of work because we sew every one of those strands by hand, and then we weave all that fabric together to create the bed. But again, this is something special. This is something different. You won't find this at our house or anywhere else, really, quite frankly. You will only find it here at IDS, and it's a beautiful bed. You can choose any fabric, any leather, any finish on that bed. And then the case pieces, these are part of our Make It Yours case pieces, and this is one of the newest faces in our company. This is a goat skin or a parchment. Or vellum. Those are all synonymous for the same thing. So parchment, vellum, goat skin are all the same things. So we're using real goat skin, and then we are applying it to the faces of the cases, and we're offering 4 different finish options. Now those pictures are horrible and don't do those justice, and at some point we will have representation of the 4 vellum or parchment finishes here in the studio for you to note. What's really interesting is that we're really smart in terms of being able to finish this ourselves, because there's a lot of variation in the color of the goat skin. So if we were just applying goat skin on the top of a dresser, you would see some of it would be gray, some of it would be more white. And there was a lot of variation, and that concerned us when we first saw it. So the way we correct that is by offering a finish over them. So even the natural finish, we're sort of hand applying a finish on it to create this natural finish. You will still have some variation in the goat skin, but I think that's what makes it special and unique and different. But really a beautiful application. Again, you can do that on any one of our Make It Yours pieces.
Do you have these samples today?
I do not. I'm sorry. I don't even have them as a salesperson. Yeah, I know. We need to. I know. The next couple pieces are our Calder collection, and here we did a plated brass collection. We started with a buffet, and it sold very well. And in Vanguard, anything that sells well has babies. So the buffet had a cocktail series baby. So it had like an end table, a cocktail table, and a console. And what's really special about this is really all plated metal. So it's cold to the touch. If you were to touch it, it's cold because it's actual metal. Some of our competitors, like Bernhard has something similar, but they use a foil. Basically, it's just like a foil paper that they're applying on top of a substrate. This is actually plated brass that we're applying onto the frame, so it's really nice. And the way that we get that two-tone is that we antique some of the sheets, and some of the sheets we don't antique, and then we laser cut them with a cutter, and then these are hand applied onto the substrate, and it makes just a beautiful piece. It is all coated and sealed, so it's not going to tarnish or change with time. The brass will not change. But you can see in these pictures here how pretty it is and how many additional pieces we added. And then I'll talk about this last collection before we do the last white wine, before the dessert wine. And this collection is called Reflections. And we had such a good response to the crotch mahogany. But some of our customers said, I love the crotch mahogany, and I think there's a place for that. But I wish that you could introduce a mahogany collection that was a little bit less flashy. And so we decided to introduce this collection called Reflections, that's only using the center cut mahogany. So this is going to be stocked in this latte finish. And if you study these pieces, they have this beautiful brass detail on the railing. They also have like a brass casted, solid brass casted hardware, and they got this beautiful brass casted ferrule. The bed is really pretty. The bed has a little bit of a almost like a sleigh effect to the headboard. It does have that brass detail going across it. You can do any finish, you can do any fabric, any leather on this product. It's really pretty. And this